how they're championing sustainability through the power of their influence.
My absolute favourite twins.
It was all like a really nice, happy accident. I just started a PhD. And Scott was doing a master's degree, and we were just focusing on that.
As we went deeper into one category of modelling, we started realising how responsible we were for people buying stuff.
That change your relationship with fashion.
Those just small changes that you can make that are easy, that don't feel too overwhelming.
You don't want to shame people into sustainability. You want to hold brands accountable.
Yeah, regardless of the proposal that's coming through. Is that really aligned with your ethos?
I just think that you are so honourable for sticking to your guns.
If you're going to be mean, at least be funny.
British people, you know how to be funny.
Yeah.
Right? Hi everyone, it's Mara Genovese here. I'm the founder and president of MG Empower, fully integrated marketing powerhouse. And this is another episode of our Influencer Marketing Uncover podcast. Welcome everyone, and thank you again for tuning in with one more episode. And I'm so excited that today, finally, I'm welcoming Brett and Scott Staniland. Did I say right? Okay. Our talent or better, multi-talent creators, part of MG Talent Agency, to talk about how they're championing sustainability through the power of their influence. It's a pleasure to have you guys here and to lead this episode with me for the first time. I think I have by my side the wonderful and one and only Maisie Moult. She's our talent manager here of MG Talent. So welcome, Izzy.
Thank you so much, Myra. Thank you for having me on this very special occasion. As talent manager of MG Talents, it's a real honour to be here and receive my absolute favourite twins, Brett and Scott. Brett and Scott are certainly opinion formers when it comes to fashion sustainability, ethical consumption and gender norms, also advocating for and contributing to the evolution of sustainable fashion. Their skills don't end there. They're also models and writers. And as we can see, they are also identical twins. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for being here. But you say like they're identical twins, but I can see some difference now that I'm seeing you both.
Once you get to know them, it's really easy to tell them apart.
But I just got to know like 5 minutes ago, but I already can see some of difference.
I think it's easier when we're together as well. Because our parents struggle. When we're apart, or I just go home and see my mum, she still call me Brett, even though he's not even in the country or anything. I think it's easier when we're together.
When you get a mate off your mum, you know she hasn't got a clue which one you are.
Well, there's one easy thing to see if you're watching this with video rather than audible, is their hairs go in different direction.
That thing I haven't noticed, but yes.
So Brett goes to his right and Scott goes to his left.
Analyze you guys too much. Sorry, guys. It's just because she said identical. I was like, let's see
how
actually is
very similar.
We're actually mirror twins, so our heads naturally part the opposite ways. And Scott's right-handed and I'm left-handed, and Scott's left-footed and I'm right-footed. So we're naturally like perfectly mirror image.
And we've got some like symmetrical freckles on our bodies as well, which is weird.
Who was born first?
Me. 2 minutes older.
2 minutes older. Yeah. Okay. So you were like, sorry, you're the youngest.
Up until like we were 25, you were always like, yeah, I'm 2 minutes older. But now we're like older. Yeah. I get to be the younger twin for way longer for life. So it's worked out better.
But all right, so let's start this conversation. I want to know everything about you guys. Like, when did you start? Why did you start it? Model, influence, writer, Love Island, not Love Island, sustainability. Like, it's a lot for us to cover, but let's start from the beginning. Big intro for everyone that's listening to us today. How Brett and Scott come to life on social media?
Honestly, it was all like a really nice, happy accident. We were at university and randomly one day got scouted to work as models. At the time, I just started a PhD. And Scott was doing a master's degree, and we were just focusing on that. And then, literally over the course of a week, we'd signed, started modeling, was in studios and shooting campaigns. Wow. And then naturally, I think just from modeling and uploading kind of modeling pictures on Instagram, it was kind of in the era of where Instagram was kind of just finding its feet and starting out. And we just started to upload pictures that we were doing it like at work and stuff. And then that kind of grew as well by accident. So kind of we all had like 3 jobs overnight. And all of them were pretty much accidents with students, models, and then online people, will say, not quite influencers, but yeah, it was all kind of all came together just very naturally and coincidentally.
So nothing was planned.
No.
Nothing was planned. And then as we started uploading more, and I remember going to a casting really distinctively, and it was like name, height, Instagram handle straight away. So it was like ended up being third question on casting forms and stuff. And I think that was the trigger point for us to go, right, we need to start taking it a little bit more seriously, and wanted to grow our following and all of that sort of stuff. But as we went deeper into one category of modeling, we started realizing how responsible we were for people buying stuff and like consumption habits and all of the fast fashion boom, really. And so that's kind of when we started being a little bit more vocal about who we worked with. And our modeling agencies were like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, you're just meant to be a model. So.
We all noticed, like, over the course of a couple of years, we went from shooting like 10, 15 looks a day to shooting 50. And I was like, I'm not just the only model for this brand, and this isn't the only day that they shoot. And we realized like just how much clothing people were beginning to sell and buy and all that stuff. And it kind of just like snowballed from there.
Wow. And like you said, like you noticed that you were having an impact on how people behave in terms of like, you know, buying.
Yeah.
How did you feel that? Was through like the engagement or the comments or the community or brands giving you feedback? How do you start like the sense of, wow, what I'm wearing, what I'm posting, what I'm talking is actually having an impact on people?
Yeah, it was, I think, mainly from my friends and like even parents and stuff. They were saying, oh, I saw you do that and you were wearing this. And I'm like racking my brains trying to think when that was out of all of the looks that we'd shot.
Okay.
And then of course, like this gifting at the end of shoots and things like that. And we just started acquiring so much stuff. Yeah. And that's when it kind of hit us, like how much of our wardrobe, our own wardrobe, we actually wear. And it was, I think there was a stat that came out a few years ago that majority of people wear 20% of their wardrobe 80% of the time. And so all of that that's left in their closet is just unwanted or like unused.
I think also being on photo shoots as well and seeing so many clothing and seeing like showrooms of like racks and racks of clothes, but also like physically putting clothes on and looking at materials. We kind of both went down a rabbit hole of being obsessed with fabrics and textiles. And it went very much from like cotton and linen and silk and natural fabrics to like 100% polyester. Yeah, all plastic. And at the time, like you see the word polyester, I had no idea what that was. You see like the words made in Bangladesh and I'm like, that's far away. I've got no idea where it is on a map. But all these things, we start to just like uncover little things that we became really interested in. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, I noticed, I've worked in fashion for a while now. I can't remember, COVID changed my aspect on years, but for a long time now. And you're so right in saying, you know, with the gifting, working with influencers and stuff, brands gift a lot, which is very nice. It starts a relationship with the brand. But when you're just one or two people and you realize how many influencers and how many models there are out there, it's the consumption, and we are completely over producing for what we actually need, you know, even things like skincare products. Yeah. You can be gifted 15 moisturizers and you try them all like 3 times and then they just sit there in your bathroom. So it's just not an ethical way of living.
Yeah, and you're just one person. And it's the same with modeling. Like I was like, right, well, I've shot 70 looks today and I've got 3 more days of ecom, but I'm also the tool that they used on their website to sell clothing. So I'm like part of their marketing, whether I like it or not.
Exactly.
And we also didn't really like the fact that we were just like, bland white guy, dark hair, blue eyes. I wasn't Brett. I was just like a mannequin that could happen, talk and move. And I liked to think that I wanted to be Brett. If people wanted Brett, they hire Brett.
And if they can't get Brett, they get Scott.
They can't afford me, they get Scott.
They get both.
But yeah, I wanted to like be proud of the work that I was doing, and I wanted to have like some impact or substance to my work. I wanted to look back and be proud of a career in fashion and being just a number per se.
It kind of coincided with like us realizing the disposability of garments and the disposability of us
models,
like how models are so replaced, and just how much clothing brands are willing to just get rid of, trend by trend, season by season.
I love the fact that because you're both very young. How old are you?
29.
Oh yeah, so very young. So to have like that conscious of like, you know, sustainability, and I love the fact that you start saying that, you start noticing the fabric, because like I used to work in fashion as well before MG Power, and then that, you know, when you start learning about how, you know, all the fabrics are made, and like the plastic, no plastic, cotton, real cotton, organic, and silk. and you start understanding, like, for example, the polyester, how bad is the polyester for the planet, right? So it's not just bad for, like for the consumption, but also like what's the impact of the polyester and on the environment, which is not everyone that knows. So it's incredible to hear that you, from an early age, start having that consciousness. Wait a second. So maybe that's not the right way of doing it. So how do you make that as a narrative? And how are you educating your followers, your community, and how that change your relationship with fashion, right? Because probably has, like, as soon as you start having that knowledge, it's changed the way you look at, clothes, the way you consume, but using your voice. So what's the combination of the two?
I think weirdly through lockdown, people got so accustomed to shopping online, and it took out the part where people go and touch and feel clothes. And I think that's such an important bit. And like a few years ago, we were real big advocates of going into store and seeing the garments, trying them on and turning them inside out. And one of the big ones for me was just checking the label. What information can go on a label? How much information a brand's willing to put on a label? But one of the triggers for me was, and I really needed a woolly hat. It was freezing cold. And I went into Asda and got like a £8 woolly hat. And it was woolly. It felt soft. Wow, it was really nice. Amazing. I turned it inside out and it was 100% acrylic.
Oh, no.
And to me, like, my brain has gone.
Yeah,
exactly. I was like, brilliant. So cheap. It's woolly. It's definitely woolly. And then it said acrylic. And I was like, in my head, acrylic is something I made in technology at school to make board counters.
Yeah,
like those were acrylic.
Yeah.
And so for me to get something so hard and plastic and make it into a woolly material, what does that process look like?
Yes.
So for us, like, the education pieces are just giving people really digestible, easy things to do that are at the start of, like, the sustainability spectrum. So it is things like looking at labels.
Knowing polyester is plastic and knowing plastic comes from oil. Things like that. You can really simplify things for people. And on the contrary, brands are really adamant on complicating it, because when you become complicated, you become overwhelmed and you disengage, and then your ignorance is bliss for the brand. So they're trying to switch you off by, like, bombarding you with too much information at times. So for us, it's like just creating bite-sized, digestible, simplifying messages, whether it's to do with fabrics or whether it's just like
a this or that.
This or that.
I think that's the best way that you do it, is you don't scream at people and tell them, don't do this, don't do that. It's about educating in small ways, and the small ways, if we get lots of people to do that, will make a really massive difference. And it's not just also the huge fast fashion monsters that are creating these. It's also your high street brands, which we all go into. And I, again, noticed that difference from I worked in retail for 7 years before this, and I was crazy about product knowledge. And I even noticed the brands I worked for were changing things from cotton to a cotton mix.
And cotton blend and wool blend and cashmere blend.
Or a
it's
cashmere
always
blend.
blended with
But
plastic.
usually they start it with that natural fibre. So they'll say wool blend, but wool isn't the predominant
Main-
it's like
Yes.
20% or 30%.
The main fabric in it. I just think that you are so honourable for sticking to your guns, and
100%.
the way I was saying to Brett the other day, the way they educate me personally, and other people, but just from my own personal experience, is so interesting. I was comparing it weirdly to a history teacher. So, if you have like...
You dress like a history teacher.
If you're in school and you're learning history, for example, and your teacher's really boring and old-fashioned, you're not listening, like, you're not interested. And the way the twins do it is so interesting, and it's accessible, and they are those just small changes that you can make that are easy, that don't feel too overwhelming of like,
100%.
what do I need to do with my wardrobe? And it's also looking at capsule wardrobes, timeless pieces that won't, fashion trends come and go. That's fine. I mean, I wear things from my mum's wardrobe in the 80s. That's really sustainable.
But it all comes back around.
But it all comes back around.
always.
And if you get like that classic white tee, that nice denim shirt, that, good leather jacket,
It lasts
it's going to last you a really long
Totally.
time. It's buying the quality that you can also having a wardrobe that's malleable, that you can, the white t-shirts, the good pair of blue jeans and stuff like that you can mix and match, and not just buying something because it's a trend that you're only going to wear for one night out, and then it sits in the back of your wardrobe.
Having a wardrobe like that makes you, like, it allows you to be flexible. Whether if a trend comes round and you really do like it, you can basically subscribe to it by just maybe adding a bag or like borrowing something at the time.
Exactly.
It satisfies a trend for a fortnight, but you still have your main body of wardrobe that will always remain.
There's a part of like the sustainability spectrum that I think is missed a lot on people. And one of the most sustainable things you can do is understand your body type and understand what your style is.
Very good point.
Because if you're always going to go after the trend and always going to go after the next season's thing, it might not suit you. And then you're just going to wear it once, realize you hate it, and it's just going to stay.
Then
You'll have a pair of skinny jeans, a pair of skinny ripped jeans, a pair of crop jeans, a wide leg jean, a flare, and all of a sudden you've got like 7 or 8 pairs of jeans and you wear one.
For about, it's always like that.
Because it fits you well and your proportions and all of that
and
sort of stuff.
The rest will just like be really, really super trend led, and you won't, or they just won't look good on your body type.
But one thing that you mentioned about like the fashion giants, high street brands. So I think as a consumer, sometimes we have the perception that the polyester, the acrylic, are only made and sold on high street or those big, giant department stores and brands that I don't want to mention names here, but it's not right, because when you look into luxury brands, they are also selling acrylic and polyester.
Yeah. There's I met someone the other day.
But instead of they sell for like £20, they're selling for 2,000
because it has a label on it.
Because it has a label on it. And that's what sometimes drives me a little bit like crazy or frustrated in a way, because if you have the label, the name, the credibility that you can actually charge £2,000 for a t-shirt, why you cannot have the same sense of responsibility of doing that shirt that costs £2,000 with a material that is sustainable?
This is
what is your perception of it? Because like I came from a background of like working for luxury brands, so I've saw a lot and I could not understand. I was like, but I can buy this on high street for £20 and they're selling for 2,000. Like,
this is why a lot of what we do is, as much as we like to call out brands and hold brands accountable, I think a lot of our education is behavioural change. And so regardless of what category you might fit in when you go shopping, it's just look after all of your clothes. Treat a fast fashion item that's been in your wardrobe for a month as if you're going to keep it 10 years, 100%. As if it was the same luxury item
Piana sweater.
Yeah. So just loved clothes last is kind of like a really nice slogan to build that round. Loved clothes last.
Yeah.
We're
going to have to, love it.
Yeah, I think, like you were saying, I met someone at a talk the other day. I think they're a lecturer at a fashion school, and they had a white shirt that's really beautiful from Victoria Beckham, and they didn't realise until I started talking about it. They turned it inside, it was 100% polyester. It cost them £1,000.
Yeah, but
Victoria Beckham shirt, and I was like, Jesus.
But they're going to look after that like it's a £1,000
shirt. Exactly. But and how do you sense because now because you talk about sustainability, something that is very core to your to your narrative, to the storytelling. So do you feel that your voice is making an impact? Because I think it's so important for talents like you guys to understand the impact that you can cause, the change that you can make people do, and the behaviors you can change. So do you feel that you're making an impact?
It's some days, it's some
really
days
interesting because, with the Love Island thing as well, at the start of Brett leaving the show, a lot of people were like, I know you from Love Island. But more recently, over the past couple of years, it's people coming up to us in the street and saying, I saw you did that video on that thing. That was amazing. And amazing. So that's the best reward for us. As much as all the brand partnerships and all of that sort of stuff is amazing. But when people come and you realize your audience is people, and they're not just followers on a page and numbers and stuff. They're real people.
Yeah, we talk about this quite a lot. And coming off a big reality TV show, I think a lot of talents see their new followers as customers and right, how do I make money off my following straight away? And I think our approach was more we have a community now.
Yeah.
So how can we impress them and empower them and go through stuff together? And I think it's testament that both of our followings have kind of we lose and gain, but I think overall we have a good community of people who won't be dissuaded, and we haven't dropped off a cliff since we came home from the show. And it's because we haven't just tried to flog loads of stuff to our followers. We want to engage them in conversations and talk about books together and talk about news together and topics and things like that. And
that's also a testament to you guys as well, though, because I know with a lot of influencers, it will be this brand's here, this is the product.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it? Whereas I think what Maisie's great at is there's this sustainability piece within this company. I think it'd be good to communicate that
100%.
alongside whatever product or whatever it might be. So I think it's rare for an agency to be on board with that at times, because I think agencies also just, you know, they want to promote product and promote influencers, but promote for you guys to also stand on the fence of education and community and not important. Followers and money is super important.
Usually Maisie's first question to us is when a brand reaches out is, does this align with you?
Yeah.
And that's like the best one, not is this enough money or we're going to do this. It's, do you want to? Is it well aligned enough? Are your morals the same and values the same? And can you tell a good story with the brand? That's like perfect for us.
And we'll do our research as well in brands if, you know, we get a deal through and we don't know so much about their history, or even if a brand is trying to change the ways, you know, they are trying to become more sustainable and using better natural products and stuff like that, or even recycled products, which is great. And then we'll do our research and just make sure that it really aligns, because I think that your following and your community can see straight through when you're just trying to sell a product and your engagement's bad and people don't care because they just know that you're getting paid to post this product. And what's amazing about you guys, and I think the partnership that we have as manager and talent, is that we make sure that we align. We make sure that it's authentic to you. It's not about, you know,
the one-off.
Just really, it's really easy to spot as well. Like followers see straight through it.
No,
it's very transparent.
It is like I always say, like, I love to see how the industry of influencer marketing and social media has evolved, especially since we started the agency. I started the agency 7 years ago, where we were not very savvy on how consume content on social media. So it was more like, okay, I'm engaging with this influencer that posting this product. I'm not sure if he's being paid or not. So we were more naive in the sense of like how to navigate content of creators. But now I think no, we are much more aware of what we consume, because there's just so much information, so many brands, so many newspapers. Like newspapers became digital and then they influence. So you're much more selected, like what I'm following, what are the content that is actually feeding my brain. And we wanted to follow creators that, even though you're doing a paid collaboration, that you're having a story that is actually has a purpose behind it. You're not just actually posting a product because you wanted to get the money from the brand and then actually make money for the brand. So I think like we can see through it, and then like purpose content is what is resonate nowadays. Like that's where we're gonna get the engagement, is when you're gonna start building the community. And because we work with talents and also we work with brands, every time our clients or new potential clients, they come to us and say, we wanted to build community. We wanted to be part of community. We want to go through the community. But then we go to them and say, okay, but if you wanted to work with talents because you wanted to talk with their community, so you need to let the talent to talk with the community on the way they think it's going to engage with the community, because it's changed. Before, the brands will come with like a detailed brief and just say, Scott and Brad, this is the briefing, follow through,
word for word.
And word for word. So, but things has changed. So it's good that you guys have that conscious and the importance of being authentic, and then really, like as Maisie said, as incredible talent managers, is just to making sure that, you know, if regardless of the proposal that's coming through, is that really aligned with your ethos, do you believe?
Do you think brands have become more flexible with working with talent? Like when a brand comes to you and you say, yeah, we've got these talent, but they also have their own voice, as well as they don't just want to be, you know, just like a relaying a message that you say, puppet.
No, 100%. Like I think like what I always say to the team, especially like there's the brand side and the talent side, like it's our responsibility to educate not just talents but brands, right? Because there's a pressure from brands that they invest in money, right? Because like we do big campaigns for our clients across the globe, so they're investing and they want to see the ROI. So what the ROI looks like, what's the revenue they're making from the money of the dollars that they're spending. But it's our responsibility as an agency, as a strategist, it's just like how to educate the brand that if you want to get the ROI, we're gonna have to let the creator to create the content. You're gonna have to co-create with them.
Yeah, totally.
So I think we are much more on that co-creation element of the education with our clients. Like, okay, you have a new product launch, you want to invest that, but let's co-create it with some of the talents. Let them tell you brand what you should communicate, not the way around.
It's a proper partnership then.
Exactly, because if you do that, if you partner with them to co-create, then it's going to start seeing the engagement. We're going to engage with their community. You're going to, you have a long-term collaboration. But if you wanted to do this launch of this product or do this campaign and it's a one-off and what you wanted is the sale and you want them to follow a briefing word for word, it's not going to resonate.
This one thing I always like kind of reserve for brands is that yes, you look money in, money out is basically what they want on ROI, but also an ROI is non-tangible things like totally brand perception and community building and like strength of storytelling, and the impact that you have on a person might be 6 months down the line where they actually turns into a purchase. But in the meantime, they've told 5 of their friends about the brand that they didn't even hear of before. And so things like this are like just as important as, a quick turnaround of purchasing power, whatever it might be.
I think we've started building in value into the content rather than just going, you can reach our audience. I think it's this value in the repurposability of the quality of our content as well, because we know we can do
and credibility of our voices as well.
So instead of, again, going back to just being a normal white brown-haired model, you've built in what Brett stands for, what Scott stands for. The quality of the content is repurposable and campaign level video or stills. And so I think brands are being more flexible in what their ROI
more.
is.
No, it's changed a lot because, like, as you said, like some of the results, not everything that we can measure, right? Because if you want to do a campaign for awareness, how do you measure awareness, right? So if it's a campaign that's produced on sale, it's never going to be produced on sales because for me, the most important metric nowadays on this generation, how I live, is engagement. Like I wanted to understand, is your content engaging with your community? Exactly. For me, it's much less about impressions, it's all like about the engagement, and then we go from there. But I think I think our role is like educating talents and educating brands, because it's not as it used to be in the past. That is
really one-sided before.
No.
In the past, brands would just throw money at the wall and see if it stuck, because it was also new, and everyone was kind of plucking figures out of thin air and going, does this work, and negotiating contracts. There were so many new terms that no one was used to because it was 100%. a whole new world.
And also like brands like now and it's any type of brands. Like I'm not just saying about fashion, because like here we work with brands like lifestyle, fashion, beauty, automotive, Apple's, like Bumble is one of our big clients, and then so it's finance, service. So brands and service, they understood that they need talents. And there's no way back, right? Of course, the traditional PR is still important, yes, but it's not as important as it used to be. There's still a relevance in that, but now no any type of service and brands can do any sales or awareness campaign without having creators like you guys involved. And I think now it's very clear. But how to actually help the brands, so how to actually helping them with the investment to get the return that is not necessarily going to be measuring in every aspect, but at least create a strategy that you can evaluate the impact that they can have on your brand. Like. Exactly. Brett and Scott and Brett, how do you differentiate yourself on your own content? And how do you say, this one we're going to work together, but maybe you can answer this question, this work together, or this is Brett, this is Scott. What do you like to work together?
Scott thinks I'm like the bitchy person online who will say anything to any brand, and I don't care at all, which to an extent is probably true. I think Scott has more expertise in things like the automotive industry, and so I let him crack on with that. He has more experience. Me, perhaps other aspects of like, perhaps maybe high-end fashion, my knowledge on like runway and that sort of stuff. But I don't know. I think we've always wanted to be Brett and Scott. We'll never get away from the fact that we're twins. And growing up, it's always the twins. We never had like separate identities. And so we never dressed the same. Like our parents used to dress us in the same things in different colors. And we were like, no, one wanted to cut our hair and one wanted longer hair.
So they tried to dress you the same.
We always wanted to be our own people, individuals. So it's nice that, you know, even when I moved to Spain and got a modeling agency, I wasn't a model because I'm a twin. I was a model in my own right, which felt nice. So we've always kind of wanted that and wanted to stand alone. But obviously the twin brand, especially on like social media, is really, really strong.
I think the content that we do together is really good, especially like photography and videos and stuff that we do that are partnerships.
And even the street style stuff from Fashion Weeks.
They're almost editorial because of the twin thing. So,
but I think when it's like the organic content that is sustainability focused, because everything is like news, it's who's going to be first to do it. Because if you do one thing, then it's already done. Like I can't jump on it and do the same video. So sometimes we battle, or like we'll negotiate who gets to do what story at sometimes, or like who can find the story and whatever is happening that day or week.
Do you help each other to create content? Like if you're like not sure about
so
like what
critical.
We're so brutal.
Like, if Brett does a video,
each other?
Literally today, Scott wanted to do a video and he kicked me out the room because he didn't want me hearing what he was saying. So that's how.
But also, you shot one yesterday, and I was like, "That's crap."
Yeah, I could hear him in his bedroom at the back, like, "You sound like you're projecting. You're not on the news."
So you
sound
live
like an
together.
idiot.
Yeah, they live together.
But then, did you hear each other if you say it's crap?
Yeah.
And then do you hear him say,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Like
first
you- yeah.
say,
Or like-
I will do it over again.
All the time, or like you'll say something that's not actually true, but is like the wrong statistic.
They are their harshest
I was going to
critics.
shout down the street, like,
Oh
you can't say
my
that.
Yeah, that's wrong.
But equally, when we're getting dressed and like when we're putting looks together for work stuff, we will want each other's opinion.
Me off so much with your get ready with me's, because he does get ready with me's using my wardrobe.
Oh my
Our
god!
wardrobe.
No,
Our
they're my
wardrobe.
clothes.
You've come today in my coat.
Yeah, it's true. But he'll do like, this is what I wore to so and so.
go.
I've got these New Lemaire boots. They're my boots. They're not my New Lemaire
Do you
boots.
share wardrobes? Like, I mean, you have yours, but you have like, or is the same space?
We say it's like a sustainability thing where we share wardrobe, but it's just like good to have more clothes that we can choose from.
Yeah, we do. We have separate wardrobes, and there's things that are mine, things that are yours, but we do share everything. Like, there's some pieces that I wouldn't want him.
I was going to
to
say,
wear.
you must have some precious pieces that you're like,
pieces.
no, that is
but
mine.
then you look on Instagram and he's wearing it anyway without asking
Oh.
you. So there's always some discrepancies, but more or less, we just share everything.
But you help each other as well, even though we've been critical to each other, but you listen
definitely.
to each other. So okay, if you don't like it, you redo it.
There'll be times, like I said, when we were younger, we're about to leave the house and we'll look at each other like, it's 2:20. We can't do this.
And then
We're like Bill and
change.
Ben. We can't do this. We have to be too different.
Yeah, but same with like the content that we put out, that's like educational stuff as well. It's good having someone immediate to bounce it off before you put it out to followers and leaders.
Just to sound it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sound it out.
especially when you're calling brands out. Is it in the right tone? Is it a bit too guilt shamey or
You don't want to
attacky?
shame people into sustainability. You want to hold brands
course,
accountable
yes.
and
Because no one
empower
likes to
people.
be told off.
That's it.
And
And
but at the same time, if
Absolutely.
you're going to be mean, at least be funny. So you have to like tie it all in together to an extent.
And you guys, I'm sorry, like British people, you know how to be funny.
Yeah.
right? In your
Got a good
own
sense of
way,
humour.
a good
The
sense
Irish
of
are better.
humour.
I think with brands as well, it's nice just talking about them, Brett and Scott standing alone on their own, but also coming together. It's nice to just have the balance. Like me as a manager, when I'm
100%.
working with brands, if they come forward to Brett, yes, of course, I can also pitch Scott to them as well and say, would you want to work with them together? But it's, I think from my just knowledge and experience, I just know, like Scott's good for this brand and that's good for him to stand alone in that. And Brett's good for this brand. And then this one's good for them to collaborate on. And again, that comes down to not just going for the money. It's about it being aligning with who they are. Exactly.
Love that. But sometimes they got to work with a brand that say, oh, but I really would like this brand as well. Can I do it?
Yeah, of course.
too?"
If they want, I'll do whatever they want.
I mean,
to.
to be fair, I've wanted Vestiaire for a while, which is Scott's, and Scott's wanted eBay for a while, which is mine. So we've kind of gone, right, we'll just shake hands, move on. You get Vestiaire, I get eBay.
Love it. Future for Brett and Scott.
Oh gosh.
It's big,
What
it's
is-
bright.
yeah.
What's the vision? We will make
Better
it.
be.
We will make
Yeah,
it
you're
happen.
gonna make it
Just
happen.
tell
This
us
is
us,
just
and we're
pitching
gonna make it
now.
happen.
Yeah.
I'm pitching.
Yeah, they're looking
Do
at
you want
me.
to have a podcast? We can
Yeah,
do
oh
it.
my
Do you want to have a TV show? We can do it.
TV.
No.
We want to be on Gogglebox. No, I'm joking. I think a lot of people always ask us if we're going to start our own fashion brand.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the number one thing that people ask. And whilst I would love to have our own brand would be
Just
amazing.
love to design clothes and
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah,
always wanted
I
to
can
do
see
that.
that.
And also,
I can see.
I would much rather go into a brand and make it better.
Yeah.
Rather than
Co-create.
start. Yeah. And
Co-create, because there are so many brands out there. So
much.
almost making your own brand goes back on.
Like redundant. Yeah, exactly. But we've also got some bits coming out this year as well that we're working on.
I'm really hopeful to just educate more people, always like elevating and like growth. So
we've got some really exciting stuff in the pipeline and some trips and stuff. I can't say too much. But no, it's definitely going to be an exciting year for both of you. And I'm really looking forward to leading that. I'm in charge.
I think the big one for me is the...
So like whether we go into like product stuff or whether we go into like more front facing educational like television or whatever it might be, there's a lot of like exciting avenues that we're looking to explore.
I'd like to do more presenting.
And we've never...
Have you done presenting before?
I've done like hosting and done at COP26 I hosted a panel and that sort of stuff, but I would like to transition that into like a BBC Three documentary on something to do with sustainable fashion, and it would be like my narration or our narration.
It'd be great to go to some factories and go abroad and
if we
see
did like
how
a
these are
UK
made.
tour of factories, because that kind of got left behind in the recent fast fashion boom. So it'd be
because
good to do stuff like
we've
that.
kind of like fell into fashion. I even fell into academia. It wasn't something I wanted. I didn't want to stay at university for a decade.
Brett got his PhD last year.
Well done.
And like falling into social media too. We've always kind of had this thing where we just say yes and worry about it later.
Exactly.
I'll let you worry about it later.
Yeah, thank you.
Maisie, yes, please sort this out. So it kind of allows us to be flexible in our lifestyles. Like there's no like linear avenue that we want to like pursue and just go down that one singular job. So it leaves us open to like, also the jobs that we have now didn't really exist 10 years ago.
I was just about to say that the industry is so fast changing, and I think just being adaptable to how this changes is just a very important skill to have, and you don't know what the future holds.
So true. Who did Love Island again? Why you didn't do Love Island? Why did you
do you know, it's every call that Brett had with like producers, they were like, is Scott single yet? Like, can Scott go? But I had a girlfriend at the time, but every call they were like, can he not just have a word with his girlfriend, just disappear for the summer for a bit?
That's terrible.
I was like, imagine how that conversation would go. Like, by the way, I'm taking this extended holiday and might be
go find another girlfriend.
Might be sharing a bed with another girl or four.
Okay, so you had a girlfriend at that, but they wanted both of you?
Yeah, so they reached out to me, and obviously after like a couple calls, they knew I was a twin. They're like, oh, would he be interested in doing it? And then every like month, every 2 weeks that goes by.
Are you still with the girlfriend?
No.
It was worth it.
So yeah, but I think it was nice. He was handling all my socials whilst I was away. Just like hammering me online on my own account.
Did you stay there for how long?
I was in Mallorca for a total of 8 weeks. I was in the villa itself, just under 2 weeks, a week and a half. But it was a big old production, big chunk of time.
Wow, amazing. Guys, the people say to me, Mara, stop talking. It's time to finish. We can do the episode 2 with them.
Yeah, we'll do part 2.
Yeah, part 2. Guys, so lovely to meet you in person finally. I know we've been trying that for a while. So thank you for your patience. It's been amazing. Thank you, Maisie, for being my co-host and for being this amazing
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of Brett and Scott. You know, I'm pretty sure there's so much to come, and if it depends on us, we make things happen, right?
We do.
The team is amazing, and then we love working with talents like you both that has personality, that's very authentic, that knows what you want to do.
Likewise, it's so refreshing to have like management and a good like company behind you, like believe in what you do. Amazing. No, very, very proud, and just the beginning. So thank you everyone that's been here with us today. Hope you have enjoyed our conversation with the amazing Brett and Scott. And as I said, they are much handsomer in person than on Instagram. So if you see on the street, you're going to agree with me. If you're not following us yet, please make sure you do on YouTube, Apple Play, Spotify, and of course, Amazon. Did I forget any? No, I think I'm fine. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I see you on the next episode. And again, Maisie, Brett and Scott, thank you so much.
Thank you,
and
Myra.
thank you everyone. And I see you soon.